And we are live, I believe. Good evening, everybody. I'm very, very happy to be with you this evening. And it's almost a full moon again. It's been lining up with the live streams and the full moons these past months. So that's been wonderful. I also hope you can feel the energies of 2024 coming up. We're working with Merlin today, and we're kind of using this to segue into next month's theme, which I've also been looking forward to. So let's get to it and see what he has to say. And you are, of course, very welcome to ask questions, especially related to magic. And thank you so much to my regular supporters, Tony, Laurie, Carla, and Mandy. Thank you so much, guys. So much love to everybody. Thank you for being here and for sharing the positive vibes. And let's connect to the other side. I'll push the proper buttons here, and then I'll move into a trance. Have fun. Before solemnity, I greet you with mirth and merriment this day. I am very happy to see you. Happy is an understatement. Elated is the vibration that I bring to you, and elated is the vibration that I tap into in order to expand on this situation. You know me as Merlin, and you may wonder how to best approach me. Having a hazy expression that moves through the centuries, different times, seeing me in different ways, different stories told of my wanderings and my great deeds. I am a planeswalker. See, some of us have made the complete cycle. We stepped outside the veil of time and then we moved back into it. Therefore, this day I can also reveal to you secrets about how you are introducing yourself into this soup of reality and using it to cook and season your own proper expression of this universal being that we share. This is one of the secrets I can unveil. That is, why did you do so and where did you come from? This we will look into. But first know that as the deities that you also sometimes connect to, as the angels that you sometimes connect to, I also extend beyond this plane and into other planes of existence. And it is from this plane that I bring wisdom, love, and enjoyment to this sharing we will proceed to have. Therefore, my love I extend to you and my gratitude for this co-creation. I will now continue to invoke these forces that I feel will be helpful for this expression of ours. Blessed is the rain that seasons the ground with life and allows new life forms to grow and to find their way upwards towards the sky. Blessed is the sky that surrounds the rain, and blessed is the sun that shines down and gives life to this planet, seasoning it with a mystery of energy and vibrancy. Indeed, blessed are the seasons, the passing of time, the rhythm of nature itself. And blessed is the breath that all living things breathe as they go about these soft and subtle airs. Blessed is the air that moves about you, and blessed are the waters that uphold the great and deep natural forces, always stirring and moving beneath your feet. Blessed are the animal spirits that inhabit this planet and allow for cycles of life, for symbiotic relationships and extensions of nourishment to take place. Blessed are the plants, and blessed are their fruits. Blessed is the harvest, and blessed are the lessons that we take from this life as we pass on to other experiences and explorations. Blessed is this meeting of souls, and blessed is the word that is spoken from the heart and allows other hearts to stir. Therefore, let us rejoice in sharing and be happy this day. With a gladdened heart, I proceed. I don't think you're late, Suzanne. I'm glad you're here. And shoot your questions, guys, preferably related to magic. But let's see what we get through. And then, oh yes, he also said he'd talk about this. So let's see what he says here, because it's essentially who you are, and of course on a general level, but also on a personal level, like how do you tap into your essence and uncover that, because that's of course a deep mystery of being a person, that we are somehow a mystery to ourselves. Let's talk to him about that. This was the secret I promised to reveal and uncover. I wanted to let you know that there is a place where you arise. This idea of a home, this idea of a place of belonging, this is not illusory. This speaks to call it a crucible of creation that sits outside of this reality you inhabit. So within this storm and stirring of energy that is your existence, and that is arranged into consciousness by your perception of it, within this, there is a deeper layer of energy taking place. It would be easier for you to approach this in terms of color, perhaps in terms of nuance or shades of hot and cold. Imagine the interminglings of temperature that you may experience on a summer day by the seaside or something similar, where cool and hot components of both the inner and outer atmospheres seem to interact and intertwine into a certain stew within you and experience a feeling of heat, of stirring, that often also lodges itself in memory. Notice that these interminglings of oppositions, this is where you come from. And therefore, a way to tap into your essence on a personal level is to figure out, where are the conflicts? Where are the problems that you are addressing in your life situated? Do they have a similar theme? Are they interpersonal? Are they technical? Artistic? Maybe they're even sensual. Maybe you are using this lifetime primarily to feel sensation, literally feel, try to restore this feedback loop that goes on in the body and transmit back into the soul layers of energetic reality. So where are the juxtapositions playing out in your life? What is the central problem? What do you return to? What is your primary paradox, so to speak? But this is you on a psychological level. On a soul level, you may find that it is the outer atmosphere that in many ways reveal what it is you are drawn to. So in that respect, you will find that you are drawn to certain temperatures, airs, frequencies. This may be in music, this may be in art, this may be in landscape, this may be in physical expression. You are drawn to certain aspects of reality here, certain frequencies. Consider that these vibrancies lie within a spectrum where other human beings are exploring human existence without touching upon them perhaps at all, perhaps only very little, without it speaking to them at all. And realize then that you hold a unique frequency. You are exploring these patterns of reality in a way that is profound and that will never be done before, or that has never been done before and will never be done again. So this is truly the obsessive nature of your soul, that it has decided to lodge itself exactly in this reality to have this experience of vibrancy. And you can ask then, well, what to do with this insight? Well, know then that you can elaborate on anything. And this means that you will not get very far in elaborating on themes that are counter to your nature. You can experiment with it. There is nothing wrong with being a jack of all trades. Perhaps it is beneficial to you to experience contrast to these internal drives of yours. But know that the drives are there. And when you align with the planeswalker entities, the deities that already hone these frequencies, you will find that much can be expressed to them. The same goes for the angels. And the same also goes for the little helpers that inhabit your realm. Know that not only is your life informed by intelligent entities of a subatomic size, these holy spirits, divided and whole as they are, but you are also accompanied, let's call it that rather than guided. You are accompanied by an array of types of small, interesting, gnomish beings, of beings that also see to it that some of these interests are honed. Sometimes you will find that a missing set of car keys or another obstacle is the thing that exactly times your life in order to have an experience or get your day started in a way that is fortuitous or that steers it in a particular pattern. This is often the work of the gnomes, the elves, the little tykes, these beings that accompany you, and you do well to honor them. Remember to put aside a little slice of surplus of your reality, of what you offer yourself, to share with the beings, to know that there are other things partaking in your experience, rejoicing in it, and enjoying the shared expansion of it all. Go explore that passion and allow it to stir your heart, and let your heart open and be set free to beat and experience life in its rhythms. And Jochen simply asks, "What is magic?" Which is a good question. I don't think I've managed to answer this in this month's theme yet. So let's see what Merlin says. Magic is the expansion of your being through combining separate means. What is meant by that? This means that there is always a transgressive process in magic. What upholds, creates, aligns, or structures reality. Try to approach it in ways and with words that are meaningful to you, rather than applying these categories to them. Because what I am pointing to here is that there are lines, separations, intersections of reality that are made by putting layers of it into play. So what you perceive as reality and what passes itself off as objective reality in your everyday life is certain spells that have been cast, certain egregores that you live within, certain constructs and ideas and perceptions that inform your being, beginning from the ground up. Your very feet are structures that you have ideas about. They are put into place by the way you retain your skeleton. And the way you retain your skeleton is determined by the way you tense your muscular structure. The way you tense your muscular structure is determined by the way that energy and consciousness is moving through your body at any given time, and is generally, or has generally been allowed to move through your body by your circumstances, both physical and cultural. So this means that there is a patterning of tension and relaxation always going on in your body that's determined partially by your psychological configuration, partially by your physical structure, partially by the patterns, traumas, retentions that you have stored in your life through exploration, and partially also by the attitudes that are allowed for in your culture. So there are ways you could move or present your body that would be highly obscene and offensive to other people. And there are also ways you can move and present your body that are highly pleasing or attractive to other people. Well, these things are, of course, partially determined by human biology, but they are also, to a large degree, determined by all these, let's call them invisible factors. And these are indeed magic spell castings. So when nature brought about human beings, it is actually experimenting with casting spells of its own. It's using human beings as a type of antennas sticking out from the planetary surface that's able to catch these more etheric, subtle, energetic layers of reality, thereby also tapping into a dimension that's known as language. You know this dimension as the fifth dimension because you haven't fully explored it yet. And so these dimensions of significance are still somewhat unclear to you. But this is what nature is doing through humans. It's bringing about layers of reality into configuration that would seem contradictory or even impossible. Now, how does this relate to the question of what magic is? Well, magic then is the further assertion of this principle within the microcosm that is you. So it is, for instance, by combining the structure of word, the structure of word and symbol, of intention and energy and will, that you begin to pierce these more physical layers of reality. This means that if you begin to harness intention, set intentions, create symbols and sigils that may express them in the world, you will find that reality is changed not necessarily on the mental level, but on the actual physical level. This also means that if you recreate your physical environment, you will find that mental reality gives way. Notice this very enjoyable leap from sauber to sauber in German that our friend here is always dancing around. That is the link between cleanliness and enchantment. This idea that you actually simply by aligning your physical environment and vibing it up, cleaning it, making it accessible to consciousness and pleasing to the senses, actually reconfigure your entire mental process. And this again also allows then for an alignment of your physical structure, for instance. And this allows for you to connect to other layers of spiritual experience. So never do angelic invocations in a dump, for instance, unless you want the angels to show you the squalor that surrounds you. This then you can use to understand that life itself is magic, and you move into it willfully. You are always either expressing the magical configuration of codes moving through you, or you are building those codes and expressing and installing them for them to then work into other people. It is not necessarily that one is better than the other, but let it be known that to do these unwillfully or to receive impulses unconsciously can feel very painful and unhelpful. Therefore, the more conscious you become, the less determined you also become, and the more you become able to combine different layers of reality into unities of expression, making them recreate the entirety of the structure from the singular point of creation. Hopefully, this answered your question, dear friend. My love to you and blessings on your magical path. Oh, if it's a night without questions, I do have stuff planned, but you are welcome to shoot, and I do hope I'm getting your questions. It's not yes. Yes. Oh, this is a great question, Suzanne. How do these gnomes assist when I can't find keys, etc.? It seems to set me back time-wise and usually makes me frustrated. What is their motif? Very good question. And Manny, so good to see you. Consider this. Humans, myself also being a mind that is fundamentally configured in human lines, you could call me human. And we humans, we have an obsession with linear patterns. You will find this obsession expressed in a lot of humanoid species across the entirety of the universe. It has to do with the vertical axis being rather frail, meaning that it likes stable structures and is drawn to them. So the abstractions of Euclidean space geometry, these figures that seem to live within you, they are very deeply embedded in your nature. Now, how does this relate to gnomes taking your car keys, you may wonder? Well, notice that nature doesn't have a lot of straight lines. It enjoys squiggly outcomes. It enjoys indeterminates, surprises, detours. It enjoys abundance, what you could even call wasteful experience. So human beings also connecting to these higher dimensions, as you are inclined to do through your vertical axis and through your cerebral networks. You essentially need to be disturbed in order to learn to be a part of nature. So that is, if you were coming from a different place, let's say you are an Amazon Indian, you may notice that, well, what spirit tends to present to you is often deep visions of inner harmony because you are in such a chaotic environment. Well, you, dear Suzanne, as most people who live in the civilized world, in a civilized existence, live within very civilized, magical, straight lines. They live within this ordered spell that is cast by society and that benefits you in a multitude of ways. But it doesn't enjoy friction. This magical machine that keeps things going, it likes to run on the straight and even. It doesn't like these disturbances. And so the gnomes are that principle of the kid on the playground who seems to always be there to kick over your sandcastle or to point fingers at you or to call you names that you don't want to be called. That is, it's the principle of disturbance. It's the principle of intercession. And this is very, very helpful because it retains these living impulses. It reminds you, for instance, through your frustration, that there are feelings within you that do not enjoy the cessation of control, that do not enjoy the illusion of the straight line being revealed for what it is, exactly an illusion. Because, of course, the reality is that a big bad wolf could come and huff and puff and blow your house away, and that big bad wolf would probably rather take the shape of a flood or a hurricane or a volcano, depending on where you live. But that is essentially, you can't really control much. And it's good to have little playful spirits, making sure that you are connected to these vibrancies of life. So these are these, let's call them rooting instincts that often present themselves and that draws you down back into grounded reality of frustration and annoyance and of strange happenstance. Sometimes, though, you may also be averting things that wouldn't serve you, and they are helping and interceding in that way, making sure to time your day a little differently in order for you to go about it in a helpful way. Timing is of the essence, and time is also a type of breath that you move through. Love to you, dear friend. Does it uh does Heart of the Phoenix, are you just saying I'm working on some rainbows? I think that's very cute. Those rainbows are magical. And long story. Rainbows, they're wonderful. Let's see what I've got here, and you can of course still ask questions. But otherwise, I've lined up a small summoning tutorial or how you can work with entities. So and these are like of the gnomish kind, like the entities that he was addressing here. So let's see what he says. Yes. How to invite in beings, become aware with them, become aware of them, converse with them, give them space in your life. Well, our friend here, he came across the other day, I am locating this in his memory banks, a house for hedgehogs. He just thought it was cute. He had never seen one before. And he thought, well, wouldn't it be nice to have a little hedgehog living in your garden, knowing that it had a space where it was thriving and felt safe? With this, you can probably see where I'm going. Spirits, too, entities, need a home and a house. But as most humans know who are more closely related to the vibrancies of the woods or naturally rich environments, spirits can live often in living systems, in trees, in mushrooms. Certainly, there are spirits in animals, but in minerals as well, you can give a home to a spirit. So here, let us give, or we are guiding our friend here, because we believe this mineral to be, or we know it is sapphire. And this is receptive especially to dragon energies, for instance. You could very well make, or we sense there's one in here already, but you could make a blue dragon inhabit this stone. What you would do is you would place the stone somewhere, and then you can spend time around the stone, focusing on the entity. You can also place a visual representation of the stone. If the entity is obscure to you, you can allow yourself to pass into a visionary state. This can be done either by breathing in a pattern that exhausts your oxygen intake, or a pattern that overwhelms it. That means either you can do techniques of hyperventilation, but perhaps more helpful would be to sink into a deep pattern of disconnection from immediate reality, knowing that under that there are deeper energies lurking. If you were to breathe in a pattern where your inhales would be to the count of 4 and your exhales to the count of 12, you would find this to be a helpful proportion. Lying down on your back and then feeling what is walking across the screen of my mind. What is presenting itself? And what is its name? Give it a shape. Give it a home, a mineral home, a place, a piece of wood there, preferably one you have polished or related to with your hands in some way. And allow it to reside there. After a while, you may even see it sitting around on the surface of this object, sensing that it is there. Then you can begin to ask it how the two of you can help each other. Get to know the little friends that surround you, and know that they may be playful and they may also tease you in the way they talk to you, but they are intimately interested in your well-being, your deep well-being, that is your inner well, this place that you draw from. This is the place that they are leading you to, always. This is the work of your guides and compatriots as you travel these realms of life. Lots of you all gave a dope day. Awesome, ciao. Thanks. Have a dope day. Yes. Oh, thank you. You too. Um, uh, and Autumn Rose asks very good question. Good morning and blessings. I have a question. How long does a spell last? Does it expire after a certain length of time? Thank you and much love. This is indeed a wonderful question. It allows us to look into the profundities of time. Consider that time is not a continuous flow. It is a dimension of experience. A spell lasts for as long as its vibrancy is alive. So you will find that if you were to throw a stone in water, to measure its after effects would be possible. But to completely determine the exact moment where the impact of the stone does no longer have an effect, and the force transmitted to the water instead merges with the general movement, with the body of water that you threw it in. Well, this question relates to the casting of spells, because indeed they resonate to the end of time, but all actions undertaken is a part of this flow of consequence, where every process is interconnected to everything else. But to be more direct, hands-on, we could say, technical, if you cast a spell, it is only effective if there is a receptive resonance to it in whatever it is you seek to affect. That is, there must be some element of alignment between you and that principle. This is also why harmful magic essentially returns to you in a boomerang principle, and why good intentions seem to accumulate into good and even better things happening to you. It is because you create a type of resonance flow. And if your intention with a spell is to dispel, that is to finish something, or to have some kind of indefinite resonance within you take shape and then manifest into something, into reality, then we could say the spell ceases to work at that point where it turns into reality. If it is to affect somebody else, well, when that spell is no longer resonating in their energy field, let us say you have performed healing on somebody, and when the healing is, let's say the healing vibration ceases to stir the energy field and it returns to a baseline vibration, the spell ceases to work. But then notice that many spells, many symbols can be very strong, very powerful, and they can resonate across time and space and consciousness in ways that seem transpersonal and deep. This is, for instance, the spell casting that takes place in your religions, and you will find that many of your sacred texts can be perceived as spells that still have resonance and affect people, actions and energies, vibrancies to this day. So this is the element of time. And this is also when you move outside of time, you can no longer receive the effects of spells, for better or worse. So when your karma ceases to exist, you essentially become very still. This is this idea that your energy body is no longer resonating with the world of action and reaction, with the world of doing and consequence. And therefore, the structure of time is superseded by a structure of light in which everything appears interconnected with everything else, and where things can be affected more directly simply by, let's say, setting your mind to certain things, which indeed is a high layer of magical creation, and where you are moving to as a species. You may sense that you are already much closer than you have been. Our love to you, dear friend. Happy spellcasting. Um, yes. Oh, Jochen, yes, this is Jochen asks how to connect best to the fairies, and let's ask him. So we sense the exuberance moving through our friend here simply at this question. That is, these fairy realms, they are right next to you. And much as you can season your food with salt, you can season your life with a little pixie dust. But silliness, mirth, merriment, cheerfulness is actually the best way to go about it. So if you want to connect to these beings, start playing tricks, maybe on yourself and maybe with other people. Now, I'm not encouraging you to be spiteful, deceptive, or cruel. Rather, I am asking you to align with the vibration of fun. This vibration of fun, it has to do with stirring the layers of reality. And you can do so very deliberately. You can begin to shake up your structure. You can do so by quitting your job, moving places, maybe even start living in a tent, a yurt, a car, any kind of thing that would be strange to you would help you in this process. But why make it so difficult? Why not just keep introducing the element of surprise? Why not switch somebody's coffee with tea when they're not noticing? Why not be the one to prank call your friends just once in a while? Our friend here is informing us that prank calling may be a more of a 20th century phenomenon, but we are trying to get you into this drift of superfluous action, doing things that are silly just because. Because notice that this playfulness is very related to the elation of the fairy realms, and this is why children are often so closely connected to it, because this is the vibration that is exactly far more pronounced in children than it usually is in human adults. It's this type of ebullience that spills over into wonder. Well, we will let that be a teaser because we are aware that these fairies, they're moving closer into communication. So there will be other things revealed pertaining to them. But for now, go out and have some fun and see if the fairies won't join you there. Oh, it's doing some technical stuff. Let me know if there's problems with the broadcast, please. Um, and and uh, and Magneto asks, "Hi, how to clear mafia reptilian energies from my bubble? Thanks, Zach." Um, Well, good question. I think it probably falls a little out of the purview of this one. I actually kind of thought, did I wanted to do banishings before this? And then Merlin said like, no banishings. We're just building positive stuff here because of course it's this magical principle that anything you address or focus on with your consciousness is somehow charged with energy, and so simply focusing on things can amplify them. This is often, a trick of dark entities, that when you think you're addressing them by getting into them, you're actually feeding them with energy. But what I would recommend, and what I'm kind of getting, is just angel invocations like lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Get Michael in there and do some stuff. Is what's coming through. And then Suzanne and Zach says, yes, I felt that just asking. Beautiful. I'm glad to hear that. Um, and then Suzanne says, dear Merlin, what's the difference between praying, intention setting, and spells? Very good question. We would say they are aspects of the same thing, and then you could consider them as a type of hierarchy of intention, or hierarchy of spellcasting. This is almost like a three-layered pyramid. So notice that you likely set a lot more intentions than you cast spells, and you probably also offer up a lot more prayers than you necessarily do invocations, for instance. What I'm saying here is that even though many of these actions are perhaps slightly unconscious, you are constantly setting intentions when you, for instance, think about your children, relations, someone else, and you wish them well. That's an intention setting. That's an attitude adjustment that configures the way that you would like energies to flow through reality, and that you determine your setting. You could even say that you do this constantly, simply going about your day. And many of these things are fairly automatic, but that's probably also a good thing. So when you take a shower, for instance, you don't necessarily set the conscious intention that you wish it to be a pleasant shower, though this is certainly your intention. And then on the level of prayer, notice that prayer has the element then of structuring these larger uncertainties that can't just be determined by how you see reality. So it's often the question of what will happen to me, what will happen to somebody else, uncertain outcomes that prayers relate to. And this is the question that you offer this uncertainty into the connection to a higher principle of reality. God is, of course, a metaphor for the outmost or highest principle of reality. It's a word that points to it. And this is what you're surrendering to in your prayers. So you may notice that every time you utter a statement, whether in thought or in word, where you say, I hope something, you are essentially offering up a prayer. Now, praying to then certain configurations of reality, that is, using specific prayer, we could use the Lord's Prayer as an example. This is a type of structure that approaches spellcasting. You haven't said it yourself, but it is a type of ritualized configuration of reality that you can use to determine and outline consciousness, to discipline these different layers of reality and bring them into alignment with each other. And this is what spellcasting does. This is also why it's important it takes place from a place where your body is somewhat at ease. It wouldn't do to start casting spells if you are expecting company in 10 minutes or something similar. It's also important that your environment is one that is conducive to it. It is important that your mental states are lined up with clear intentions. That is, that your prayers are also then offered to these outcomes that you wish to see, and that these are then concentrated into the spell that is the particular actions, whether they be verbal or ritual or combined, that they're concentrated into this. So you can see it's a type of refinement of will from the arising of intention to the expression of the spell. Thank you for this illuminating question, dear one. There it was, the three-layered pyramid. I just recently finished rereading the Illuminatus, so I was very happy to kind of when these pyramidal structures they come into things. I'm seeing a lot of triangles for my inner eye today for some reason when I'm channeling. And then Mandy asks, what is the spiritual significance of the process of petrified wood? It's a super beautiful question. Yes, as I was explaining, how spirits also reside in these matters, you may find, again, that the only component separating them is time. So human beings are swift, rapid little things compared to the ionic horizons of stars and deities and the like. This means that you don't necessarily conceptualize consciousness that works in far slower modalities. A way you have played around with this realization is in Token's idea of the ents, these slow beings that communicate in a very, very languid manner, something that's stretched in a symphony beyond time that is hard for swift verbal minds to comprehend. So the idea is that within the wood itself, there is also a type of intention, a type of conscious will to undergo a process of refinement through time. So the shift from natural to mineral may seem like a transition from one state to another for the human being, but it is a solidification of a pattern that was also a part of the intention of the life form that expressed itself through this wood and is now expressing itself through the petrified stone, through this hardened, transformed expression of its own shape. But you sense a similar intention underpinning your own nature. Beyond the swiftness of the individual human mind, there is a mind of the species that is also transforming you from coal to diamond, that's refining your carbon structures and bringing you to first the interplanetary and then the interstellar realms. You sense this is where you are going. So can you see that this instinct of life, this willingness to keep on existing, it even extends into the shape of trees, life forms, hardening into something that is more unbreakable and less susceptible to the flows of the sands of time. This is the deep prayer that resides in biological life. I exist. I will go on existing. I will change myself to keep existing. This is a love beyond words. The blessings of life itself. I'm really feeling like he has a strong energy, but I'm much appreciating it, and it's quite earthy. I also feel, which is wonderful. Um, I have a bit prepared about tapping into local energies, and actually, related to summoning and everything, some surprise guests. So if you have questions, guys, shoot, because then I think we can have a few more. So any simple spells, I think Magneto Zach is asking. Very good question. Let's take that. I think, yeah, super question. He, Tao, Lo. These 3 points you touch. Your forehead is He, your heart is Tao, your navel is Lo. Go Lo, Tao, He, He, Tao, Lo, Lo, Tao, He, He, Tao, Lo. This body that I'm speaking through is using the left arm. This is the primary arm of this physical structure, but it can be recommended also for the right-handed among you to use the left arm for this as you are invoking earthy energies. This is a summoning of dryadic woodland spirits, or rather, it's a summoning of the underground elves, the dark elves. Do not consider them dark in any moral sense. Rather, consider that this is a designation for beings that can also navigate the murky realms of the underworld, the root structures that permeate the, the unseen ground you tread upon. These beings, they may have very different configurations depending on where you live. But if you go to an area and make yourself acquainted with it, even better if it is close to home or even on your own premises, and you build a structure for them, a home or a hut, you may find that they will take up residence. These beings, they come with elements unseen. With the spittle of toads and the sounds of cats' feet. Eyes of newt, as it is sometimes spoofed. That is, these beings, they are witchy in their nature, and witchcraft has an element of fun and playfulness to it that you may want to explore. But when you perform it, it is important that it is in harmony with the natural energies that surround you. That is, it must be in accordance with the astrological configurations and with the place that you are in. Living in a city doesn't preclude this, but you may want to tap into the city gnomes rather than the forest leprechauns. We sense here that there is a being that tends to the apple tree on the other side of the hedge here. The one that stands freely. And what is he saying? Knock, knock. That is both my name and the thing I'm doing when I'm introducing myself. See, here I come to you just with a little playful encouragement. When was the last time you made a sauce that you hadn't had before? When was the last time that you tried to touch your nose in a funny way? When was the last time you did something you'd never expect yourself doing? Knock, knock. Goodbye. There was there was a little elfin guest there. Um, because then that is kind of, I've been really looking forward to it. December is going to be about elves, so it's totally going to be about gnomes and all kinds of and stuff, and getting into to that, and working with these fairy magic, elven magic, all that. I'm looking forward to that a lot. It's going to be hilarious to connect to these playful little tykes. Um, and so if there are no further questions, I think I'll uh, I'll be signing off, but letting Merlin do some finishing blessings, and to do some stuff. Let's see what he wants to say before we take leave this day. From the lakes, there is a song moving in. I hear it and transmit this frequency. There is a sacred lady of the lakes, the streams, the rivers. She guides and upholds these waters. She lets you know to come and drink from them. Do you see what I did there, dear ones? I tapped into an intention of the shared energy field of the listeners of this context. There was a message, a vibrancy, something clearing itself out as an invitation. And this platform then invited in this voice of the enchanted lady of the waters. You may know her in different expressions, but her nourishing qualities are so uniform, so close to the human heart, that her invitation reaches you. Let yourself be drawn to the waters. There is so much I could say. There are so many instructions I could give you. But what I have intended to do this day is to open up just a slight sliver of unexpected energy and to deliver it to you so that you may play around with it. Expect the unexpected was a message that was transferred to you. Notice how the unexpected has arisen for you in this month of November. And then notice that through this crack in the wall, through this foundation that opens up and becomes uneven, you experience a new balance. You experience something coming in that was meant to be kept out. This is life. This is plants shooting up through the concrete. This is air and light moving in through the walls that break down into ruins. This is nature leveling and rebuilding again and again and again. And see these wonderful little magical beings, these guides on your magical tour of life. They do this continuously because they renew your life, your cells, your life force, the currents within you. You shall be invigorated. That is a promise. And so with this transmission of life force to you, I send you my gratitude and my love, blessing you as I leave you this day. Um, I thank you for being here, guys. That seemed like a slow, smooth flowing session, which was lovely. No technical issues compared to last time. I much enjoyed connecting both with him and you. So I'll sign off, and thanks for being here, and see you for some elfin fun in December. So much love to you out there.